So, one of the questions I get asked the most is how do I do it? How do I balance motherhood and business? And how do I make it look so easy? The answer to that question is I don't. I don't balance it well, to be completely honest with you. And I don't try to make it look easy. My intention is to not make it look easy because, to be honest, I feel like that there's a little toxicity in making things look perfect because it's not. Motherhood is messy, business is messy, it's chaotic, and I don't find balance between the two. I find harmony. I find my systems, I find my flow, I find what works for me and my family and my business. I don't try to put us in a box, and it can be frustrating, but it's also so fulfilling. And, sometimes when we look at these people and they're like, oh my gosh, they have it so figured out. It's just so perfect. And, that automatically makes us judge ourselves. Well, why can't I do that? Or how come it looks like this? And I'm here to tell you it's messy. It gets really messy, it gets really chaotic. But again, instead of forcing, pushing, controlling, I find my harmony. I find my flow in the day to day. I go in between motherhood and business easily. And some days it works and some days it doesn't. And my biggest advice to my clients is do what works for you, do what feels good for you. Another thing I get asked about often is, well, what does your schedule look like? How do you mother and, you know, simultaneously run a business? And so I set up my calendar, I set up my structures so that it supports me and my family. On Mondays, I don't take calls. Mondays, I use for content, I use for visioning, I use for channeling and really grounding into the energy of the week ahead for planning. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I take my client calls. And then on Fridays, I leave that space open for opportunity. So I don't have my calendar open on Fridays. I save that for family time, taking my children out, doing something around town, visiting a local museum or the library. Or sometimes I'll use that as an opportunity to work on collaboration opportunities, things that grow and expand my personal self. I reserve Fridays for healings for myself, things that nurture and nourish me. And so that flow has really worked well for me. And then Saturday and Sunday, I disconnect from work and I use those days to be really intentional, really present, do things that fill me and my family up. So when we are looking on the outside, looking in, like, oh, this woman has it figured out, I do have a system figured out. But trust me, it's not perfect. I haven't found, you know, um, a secret ingredient that will help entrepreneurship and motherhood flow better. But I have found tools. I found resources. I found community and support that allows me to really ground into it and also view myself with compassion and kindness because I think that's kind of the missing ingredient that we lack, that pressure that we put on ourselves as women, as mothers and as business owners to constantly produce or perform. So, if there's anything I would love for you to take away from this conversation, it's that find what works for you, find that flow, find that harmony in your everyday life. Find those things that light you up, that make sense for you, that you're not doing because this is how it's always been done, or this is how so and so does it. Literally, what feels good for you, what makes sense, and what works for you and your family. So think about that. Just, and write, what does your ideal day look like? What is this ideal day? What is the ideal situation, scenario in which you are mothering and running your business? How does that flow look for you? And everyone is going to be different. Everyone's needs are different. I need a little more spaciousness. I need a little more time to channel, to write, to produce content, to have these conversations. Some people will need less of that. Some people will want to be more focused on calls. So, what does that look like for you? Prioritize that and let the flow, like that'll be your masculine structure of, okay, these are the structures and the systems that I know I need to feel supported and to feel good. Now, how can I be flexible? Because, I'm writing and then my daughter wants to come in and she needs a snack. And I'm like, okay, let's go get a snack. I'm in the middle of a client session and my daughter needs to go to the bathroom. My son is with my husband. And so my husband can't take her to the bathroom. So guess what? I'm sorry. I'll be back in 1 second. I really apologize for that, but I'll be right back. And I take my daughter to the bathroom. What permissions are we not giving ourselves? What are those characteristics or those traits that we are still holding on to that we don't need to anymore? Because it's not about perfection. It's about alignment. And when you are fully aligned and content in yourself, person on the other end who's receiving it, who's witnessing it, they're like, "Oh, that's so beautiful." Like showing up in your authenticity, in your power, in your respect, honoring people's time and their resources too. Honoring people's time, that exchange of energy, it goes both ways. So, something to think about. Let me know. Please subscribe, like, and share this video with a mom friend.